Scientology is the only road to total freedom. Whether you agree with it or not, that is the truth. And he has outlined a way to do it.
The only road to total freedom. Really?
That's
the
right.
only road?
I said the only road to total freedom.
The person who disagrees is perceived as what they call a suppressive person.
An enemy.
And must be dealt with as such.
And that's the gospel according to L. Ron Hubbard.
That's the dark side of Scientology.
As a landlocked Midwesterner, I had always associated San Diego with the Navy, with ships and sailors and the sea. I knew they had a great zoo here and a lot of well-off people. I knew San Diego was real conservative politically. But if you'd asked me to name the American cities with the most enlightened policies for dealing with the homeless, I never would have guessed San Diego.
One of the reasons why many people don't want to really consider or look at this phenomenon closely is that they know that there but for the grace of God go I.
This tiny room is the end of the line, the execution chamber for the state of North Carolina. Over the years, Joe Freeman Britt has sent more people to death row than any other prosecutor in this country.
You need to go after them and tear that jugular out. That's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. You're never going to be able to get at the truth by kissing an adverse witness on the cheek. The idea is that the courtroom is like a crucible, and you have to heat it up to boil the truth out of them. Otherwise, play it cool.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Morley Safer.
I'm Harry Reasoner.
I'm Ed Bradley.
I'm Diane Sawyer. Those stories and Andy Rooney tonight on 60 Minutes.
The American Express card buys Chinese food, rental cars, compact discs, theater tickets, ties, hotel rooms, toys, airline tickets, cruises, VCRs. But at times like these...
Everything was in that bag. My American Express card, everything.
Don't worry. Let me have your name.
The card is worth much more than what it can buy.
Yes, we can get you a new card in 24 hours.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
Move it back! This stuff I'm wearing to protect you from almost anything, except a headache. Do I get 'em? It's like a hunk of steel sitting on your head. It's a good thing Anacin is strong.
Anacin, 23% more medicine than regular pain relievers. Anacin stops pain fast.
More medicine, no more headache. I'm ready for a little overtime.
Anacin, more medicine.
Before updating a report we did 5 years ago in the Church of Scientology, let us recap a little of that story. First of all, it was a report on the religion itself. But it was also a story of dirty tricks, of smear campaigns and outright crimes committed by some church members against what they perceived as enemies of Scientology. In 1980, in fact, several Scientologists went to prison for breaking into the headquarters of the Internal Revenue Service, which had been investigating whether or not the church should be tax-exempt. Scientology Update takes another look at the church. For since our first broadcast, several Scientologists and others with inside knowledge have been telling tales about the whys and wherefores of Scientology. Much of what they have to say is critical of the church. Nonetheless, the church continues to attract a large following, millions of believers, according to church estimates. People who genuinely believe that Scientology is their key to salvation.
I found in Scientology a way to improve my ability as a spiritual being.
Given me a whole new outlook on life. I was a drug addict, and I'm not a drug addict anymore.
It all began back in 1950 with the publication of the best-selling book, Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health by L. Ron Hubbard. L. Ron Hubbard, previously a writer of pulp fiction, claimed to have discovered after years of research that man was unable to handle his own problems, that he needed help. Thus was born Scientology, a religion that says it can reveal to an individual a practical way to find himself, more fully to realize himself. Hubbard, a recluse who hasn't been seen in years, invented something called the E-meter. Church ministers or auditors use the meter to measure an individual's nervous responses, much in the way a lie detector does. Scientologists claim the E-meter can help locate their past unhappy experiences and by so doing, blanch them out, help them to reach a state of clear, of self-realization. And there are the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard, thousands of pages. Hubbard on ethics, on justice, on high finance. Scientology has attracted, according to its own estimates, upwards of 6 million followers worldwide. People like actor John Travolta, who was interviewed by Pat Collins of CBS News.
The beliefs and practices that I have studied in Scientology have been invaluable to me.
Have you ever met Ron Hubbard?
I'd love to. I'd be honored, because I think he's so brilliant.
Well, Travolta isn't the only Scientologist who has never seen Hubbard. Hardly any Scientologists have ever seen him. This 1966 interview, produced by the Church of Scientology, is one of the few glimpses anyone will ever get of the man.
Man is asleep. He is hypnotized. In Scientology, reverse the process, and you make him wake up. And he gradually gets more and more alert, and he's more and more wide awake, and his IQ rises higher and higher, and he is more and more capable of knowing what's going on about him.
But according to the Scientologists, the U.S. government early on began to harass L. Ron Hubbard and his church. And it is true that as early as the 1950s, Scientology came under the scrutiny of various government agencies. The Food and Drug Administration was skeptical about the use of the e-meter. The FDA considered it not a religious artifact, but a medical device. And both the FBI and the IRS have, over the years, launched investigations into Scientology and into L. Ron Hubbard, without any formal charges ever being brought against the man.
He has inspired hatred. Some men have inspired love, and this is sad because his most ardent ambition, he has told his followers to use this phrase. It's his phrase. He wants to be known, and tears come to their eyes when they say it. He wants to be known as the friend of man.
Author Omar Garrison, not himself a Scientologist, was commissioned by the church to write the Hubbard biography.
He wants to clear this planet of war, of crime, and of disease. And he sincerely believes that he has the formula for doing it.
Part of that formula has been to expose government scandals like the CIA's germ warfare tests on unknowing subjects, and to expose government invasions of privacy. But aside from the good works that Scientology has done, some former Scientologists describe a church that has become overzealous, sometimes almost paranoid about anyone perceived as an enemy. For instance, in 1980, we interviewed Paulette Cooper. She had written a book critical of Scientology. So to try to silence her, the so-called Guardian's Office of the church cooked up a scheme to steal Cooper's stationery and make it appear that she had sent the church two bomb threats, a crime she did not commit.
And as a result, I was arrested. I was indicted on 3 counts. I faced up to 15 years in jail if I was convicted. The whole ordeal fighting these charges took 8 months. It cost me $19,000 in legal fees. I went into such a depression. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't write. I went down to 83 pounds. Finally, I took and passed a sodium pentothal, or truth serum test, and the government dropped the charges against me in 1975.
Another church plot against Cooper was called Operation Freakout, intended to get her placed in a mental institution until she stopped writing about Scientology. Church officials even launched a graffiti campaign against Cooper.
They put my name up on walls in New York City where I live with my phone number so people would call me. They put my name on pornographic mailing lists so that I would get all kinds of disgusting mail. You see, for years I was saying that these types of things were going on. And people thought, well, what is she talking about? This is a church. And finally, after 11 years, I see that everything I said was true and that Scientology turned out to be worse than anything I ever said or even imagined.
Paulette Cooper has since come to a legal settlement with the church. In 1980, these two church spokesmen had told us that the kinds of things done to Paulette Cooper were committed by a small group of overzealous Scientologists. But more recently, listen to what this woman says happened to her after she left Scientology and began to speak out.
I have been harassed. I have been sued twice. I have been followed. I have had people at my workplace try to get me fired who were Scientologists. I have had private investigators go to former employers and tell them I was a missing person and my parents were looking for me to find my address.
Laurel Sullivan was for 8 years the personal public relations officer to L. Ron Hubbard himself. Because she so admired the man, she says, she ignored the negative aspects of Scientology.
I chose not to know things. There are things that don't quite add up. But when he tells you something, you believe it.
Sullivan says that thousands of Scientologists are turning a blind eye to much of what goes on in Scientology.
They have chosen not to read the press about Scientology if it's negative. They have chosen not to question themselves. They have chosen not to question, why am I here?
Even Omar Garrison, one time a Scientology sympathizer, has had second thoughts.
I think at the moment that the organization, the cult, is in the hands of the most fanatical followers, adherents of Mr. Hubbard, who you could equate with the followers of Ayatollah Khomeini.
The current church leadership is located at Scientology headquarters in Los Angeles. We wanted to know what they had to say. And the Scientologists, although unhappy with our report in 1980, finally agreed to an interview. But this time, the Scientologists, convinced that we were out to attack their church, arranged for several of their videotape cameras to be trained on us at all times during the session. Church president, the Reverend Heber Jensch, had his attorney Earl Cooley sitting at his side throughout the interview. And almost 100 Scientologists were called in as witnesses.
Scientology is the only road to total freedom. Whether you agree with it or not, that is the truth. And he has outlined a way to do it.
The only road to total freedom. Really?
That's
the
right.
only road?
I said the only road to total freedom.
Yes. What does that mean? Only road to total freedom.
Oh, there's some word there you don't understand?
I don't understand the concept. I mean, what kind of freedom are we talking about?
Spiritual freedom.
And as for the founder, L. Ron Hubbard?
I think he's probably one of the greatest men that ever lived. I think that what you see and hear all through this place are recognitions for what he has done in the area of drug rehabilitation, what he has done in the areas of education, the recognition of cities and mayors and governors and so forth, and individuals whose lives have been changed.
But if Hubbard is a man of enlightenment, he is also a man who appears obsessed with his perceived enemies. Attack the attacker, he writes. If Scientology is attacked on some vulnerable point, always find or manufacture enough threat to cause them to sue for peace. Always attack, don't ever defend. According to former church members, it is writing like that which inspired bizarre plots like the ones against Paulette Cooper and numerous others. But when I put some of that to the Reverend Jensch, he accused us of coming to the defense of Scientology's enemies.
We'd say when Pearl Harbor happened, you'd be the first guy going over there to represent the Japanese because he probably bruised his knee when he killed all those Americans. You'd say, oh, don't attack the attacker.
Want to
They're
deal
just
with
trying to wipe you out, you know.
Want to deal with
just
this
a bunch
document.
of poor Japanese bombing. They probably flew 3,000 miles off course. Mike Wallace, that's great. That's real great rhetoric.
Then the Reverend Jensch turned to the scriptures to try to convince us that we were taking things out of context.
The Torah has said, if one comes to kill you, rise up and kill him first. But let's go further. The Torah decreed, if he come to slay thee, forestall by slaying him. Let's go to Exodus 2:11-14. When Moses had grown up, he went out to his kinfolk and witnessed their toil. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew. He struck down the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Now, I can just take it and turn it back to you and say, you're a Jew. How do you respond to this thing? I don't think that's fair. I think that is a despicable activity by anyone to take it out of context. And I can go through the whole Bible and lift it out and make it look just as crazy, just as weird as you're trying to do here with millions and millions of words in print in a religion, and you can take out 2 words or you can take out a sentence, and you can somehow try to bring it down to that.
In the course of reporting this story, it became apparent to us that the Reverend Jensch is persuaded that 60 Minutes itself is somehow involved with others in a plot to destroy Scientology.
You may not like our religion. You may try to castigate it. You may try to denigrate it. You may try to bring down the image of Mr. Hubbard, but you cannot change what has happened in the hearts and minds of every single Scientologist who has had benefit from this man and what he's done.